Welcome, Jennifer Sorrels.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nancy. Thank you, Nadira, for everything that you've sown into us and taught us this year. It's been a journey for sure. And Lord, I thank you. I thank you for your words. I thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to know everyone and to learn with them and grow with them. And I thank you for the testimony, Lord, that you've given me. Let your great grace abound in all places. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Technology is a challenge for me. All right, let's see what this looks like. Okay, is it there? I don't know how to, I wish it was a little bit smaller, but
we can see it.
You can see it. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to go back a little bit just to 2009. 2009, when I met my husband, and he told me a vision that he had when he was about 6 years old. And he was a little boy. Jesus came into his room and he had a vision with Jesus the whole night. He wasn't raised in church. His mother didn't go to church. And the Lord even opened the eyes of his mother so she could see the vision as well. But I had never heard anything about that. I was raised Baptist. We went to church every Sunday. I loved Jesus. I loved the word. I believed the word, but I really was not following Jesus. I was not following his ways. I was really following the ways of the world, but I loved the Lord. So he began to tell me also about a prophet that he used to have as a roommate when he was 18 to 20 years old. And I'm like, a prophet? What do you mean, a prophet? And he's like, well, he prays and God gives him visions and he shows him people to go see. He gives him direct locations. He gives him specific details and he hears the word of the Lord and he goes and does what the Lord tells him to do. And that was so fascinating to me because I believed in the power of prayer. I knew that God heard us when we prayed to him, but I did not know that we could clearly hear the Lord and have a relationship with him and really walk with him in a conversation like you could with a person. So I was exposed in 2009. I had stories at this point of this prophetic world. It's really the world within the world that we live in. So in 2014, we were going to a local church and they were doing a corporate fast. And the first time I did a fast, ever heard about it, any church doing a fast. And his roommate kept going back through my husband's mind. So we called him. His name is Todd. And Todd said, you know what? I'm coming to Rockwall tomorrow. And we were right next to Rockwall. That's where we live. And he lives in Shreveport, Louisiana. So I'm in Texas. Todd is in Shreveport. My husband calls him. He says, I'm going to be in Rockwall. Actually, tomorrow I'm coming to a home group. And that's fascinating. He said, I'm going to come spend the night with you. And that was awesome because that was my introduction. I finally got to meet this guy and I got to see firsthand rather than just the stories, even though I believed my husband, I wanted to experience it firsthand. So he comes, he spends the night. It is exactly what he said. It was amazing. I was blown away. He tells me about this home group. We go to this home group, and it is really what excelled us. And it was my introduction into this prophetic realm, this prophetic world, this supernatural world. And so in 2014, for the next 2 years, my husband was given we were given 27 words. We went to every prophetic conference we could possibly go to. We went to Patricia King. We went to Stacey Campbell. We went to David Hogan. We went to Heidi Baker. Anytime we could go, we met Etienne. That was the year that we met Etienne. It was amazing. And 27 words over 18 to 24 months. Always, you're going to build wealth for the kingdom. You're going to fund missions. The Lord is going to use you to build his kingdom financially. Well, that was really interesting. That's an awesome word. I mean, that's exciting. Totally opposite to what was going on in the natural. But what had, I mean, 27 words, you can't deny that. But those words were to get us through the seasons that we were about to go through. The word was Todd and Will would build kingdom together. Todd lived in Shreveport. He's had two businesses. He's a home builder. He had a floor store. He sold his businesses, moved to Texas. My husband worked for one of the largest national builders. He previously was a home builder independently, but after 2009, he sold his business, went back into the market, and now the Lord was calling him to partner with his old roommate. So very challenging times indeed, but I held on to the word. I mean, this was 10 years ago. I held on to the word, and we still have not had it, seen it in its fulfillment, but it's still there. Now, a couple of years ago, my husband was going to a business meeting and he met Steve Tremmel. And my husband really is not one who believes in short-term mission trips. He says, you want to be a missionary, go out your front door. The world is there. Everyone needs you. You don't have to go across the world. So I'm like, well, that's really interesting, Lord. So we're supposed to fund missions. My husband really doesn't believe in missions, short-term mission trips. And we really don't have money to fund anything at the moment. But he met this guy, Steve Tremmel, who really had his same testimony. He was a pastor in Tyler, Texas for 20 years, really did not believe in the significance of short-term mission trips. But he ended up going on a trip to the Amazon with someone who was going to his Bible study, invited him to go. He went, his life was forever changed. He quits pastoring the church and he becomes the executive director of the Amazon Outreach. And what they do is they have a boat, they go to the Amazon and they dig wells and they provide clean water and also present the gospel to the villagers. So I've got the word, 27 words. You're going to fund missions. My husband now has an interest in the Amazon outreach, which is a start. It's a start. I have no idea what it's going to look like. I'm trying to be faithful and obedient to what the Lord has given me. Now we're doing our business ministry project, which was not exciting to me at all. It was very dreadful. Like, Lord, I'm not there. I don't have a business ministry. But I want a good grade. So I'm going to do whatever you have given me. I'm going to follow through with it. So we were doing our one-on-one. I'm like, okay, I think I'm about done. And Dr. Nancy's like, nope, you're not there. You've got to, do it different and come up with a name, do a website. And I'm like, oh Lord, I don't have anything. I have nothing. So she said, come up with a name. And we were thinking of some names, and I was thinking of Be the Body, because it's something collective. I have no idea exactly my role in this thing. All I know is it's a word from the Lord. So, and I want to be obedient to the word. So we were thinking about Be the Body, Helping Hands, something general, something generic. Well, then I had a thought of Miriam's Well. And I'm like, that's interesting because Miriam doesn't have a well. So, that's just the way the conversations go. So I clicked on Miriam's Well, or I Googled Miriam's Well, and actually there is a Miriam's Well. I went to chabad.org, popped up, and Miriam's Well is the name of the spring that miraculously provided water throughout the Israelites' journey, the 40 years in the wilderness. And I'm like, well, that's interesting, but that was the rock. That was Jesus. It wasn't Miriam's Well. But the Midrash states that the well was actually a rock, and it would roll with them throughout their travels. And when they stopped, the rock would dig deep in the sand, and the leaders of the tribes would come around and they would gather around and they would say, "Rise up, oh well, rise up." And it would rise, and it provided the water. So the Midrash connects the well to Miriam's praise when the Red Sea was split with Moses. And she was so grateful for a miracle that occurred through water that God rewarded her with water, for which the Jewish people also sang praise. And it's the Midrash and the sages of the Talmud that understand the well produced the water on Miriam's merit. So we had a name. We have a name, Miriam's Well, and it's carrying the source of life to the four corners of the world. Our objective is to connect volunteers and mission-minded entrepreneurs to successful ministries. Of course, we want to fund them. We want to reach a greater number of people. We want to present them with the love of Jesus. And my heart and my husband's heart, because whatever it is, we'll do it together, is for people that don't have, that are less fortunate and do not have basic necessities. I mean, and clean water is just a fundamental. There's approximately 900 million people worldwide that do not have access to safe, clean drinking water. Ensuring people across the nations have access to clean drinking water is fundamental, and it's obtainable either by digging wells and tapping into the natural resource or by water filtration systems. And since he has met Steve Tremmel and he liked him and was encouraged and motivated, the Amazon outreach will be our first to partner with. There's an estimated 30,000 villages on the banks of the Amazon River with no gospel presence. And they have been doing outreaches since 2000, and they have visited over 1,300 villages. They've drilled 206 wells. But this ministry, I was so impressed when I did the research online. But wells are more than a means of a natural provision. They're symbolically linked to spiritual nourishment, and they represent a source of life and sustenance. And so our heart as Miriam's Well is to connect the time, treasures, and talents to the true source of life. And this is one of their boats. They are in the process of raising funds for a third boat. And their goal is to raise $4 million. And they're at 1.6. My goal for 2024 is to raise $50,000 to help with their third boat. And I did want to show just really quickly, this is what they do. I mean, this isn't a hobby, it's what they do. And it was really impressive in January when I looked at this. This is May through December. The only dates are open laps over the 4th of July holiday, which Americans are very, dedicated. We like to celebrate our independence. But other than that, I mean, they're booked. They do an excellent job at reaching the churches to get them involved and to get them involved to go with them and to support their outreach. And they have wonderful testimonies and amazing pictures of all that they've done. So that's what I've got. That's where we are.